it's time for our daily press review, and we're delighted to be joined today by Dr. Mervat, Professor of Political Economy of the Middle East Research and Development. Good morning, Dr. Mervat. And we start off with the main banner of الأهم, which reads, assigning the new governors to control prices and provide services. The President gives his directives to directly communicate with the citizens and answer all their needs. New governors and 4 deputies take oath before the President. العدلي for Giza, المسيري for Alexandria, Yunus for Menofia, Reda for Sharqiya, Usama for Kafr al-Sheikh, and Makram for Fayoum. The assignments of the President's innovative solutions for the problems and directly communicating with the citizens, achieving security, improving services, combating terrorism, and dealing with the increase in prices. The same issue, the main banner of Al-Masri Yom, and we read, the governors of LCC under supervision and test. The President assigns them to control corruption and develop the most needed villages. The President meets with the new governors after the swearing-in. 3 women deputies for the governors with administrative experiences and academic scientific degrees. And the new governors say ordinary people and development are top priorities. And the same issue also made the main banner of Al-Yom Al-Saba, and we read, the LCC says they need 17 governors. We do not have the luxury to waste time. The governors take their constitutional oath before the President, and 4 deputies, including 3 women for the governors of Cairo, Giza, and Alexandria. The President says we do not have the luxury of wasting time and effort away from the efforts of complete development. The President assigns the new governors and their deputies to achieve security and stability. The CC asks the new governors to coordinate with the state different executive institutions to control prices and combat the increase in them. Dr. Mervat, what should be the main priorities of the new governors in your opinion?
Well, the same duties every time they claim they are going to fulfill, which is, of course, serving the people. That's number 1, okay? And direct communication between the people or the constituents and the governor. And definitely more now duties have been attached to this office, like working along with the government to develop the needy villages, as was expressed by His Excellency the President, and definitely, combating terrorism and all of that. What I like is, of course, that women have been finally appointed. Yes, as deputies. We've never seen that before. And letting the deputy governors swear as well in front of the President, of course, it's some sort of good propaganda, because it shows that the President, he himself has been definitely behind these choices, because he's very supportive of women, as you've seen, because women have been constituting the majority of those who have supported the coming of President
during the elections,
as you remember. And definitely, we hope we cannot now judge, not according to appearance or scientific degree or whatever. We are now watching and monitoring whether they are going to fulfill the duties that have been assigned to them by the President himself, okay, and whether really they are going to do a good job or not. We cannot now judge according to names. Some of them are not known to our people.
This is true.
Okay, so we are waiting and see. We cannot. It's a very early judgment, really.
Of course. And back to Al-Ahram, and we read another major headline: Sisi and Putin tackle on Monday means of enhancing the Egyptian-Russian ties. Politicians say Putin's visit is a message to the whole world that it's must to be unified to combat terrorism, and that Egypt is progressing towards democracy. The cooperation between the two nations proves that Cairo is not linked to a certain in power. Al-Sisi explains the developments in two interviews with the Russian and German media. The consultant of the Russian space agency says combating terrorism and the Syrian crisis topped the agenda of the summit talks. Dr. Mervat, how do you see the significance of Putin's visit to Egypt?
You know, in order for us to judge this upcoming visit to Egypt, definitely it is of great importance, especially if you know the history of the cooperation between Egypt and Russia. Whether it be, of course, in the past, as you remember, it's because my thesis was done about the Soviet-Egyptian cooperation relations from 1954 to 1976 and its impact on the economic development of Egypt. So really, maybe I will tell you more than it is required to answer here. But the cooperation between Egypt and the Soviet Union, between two brackets, Soviet Union, nowadays Russia, has started back in 1954 with the armed deal agreement through the Czechoslovakia, and we got the weapons that we wanted. Later on, of course, there has been the first real agreement between Egypt and the Soviet Union was signed in 1956 to construct the Aswan High Dam, and later in 1961 we had another agreement, and 1969 we had another agreement, and 1971 we had another agreement.
We have long history of cooperation with the
Exactly, it is very extensive because you remember back in 1956 when the IMF and the World Bank has denied Egypt a loan to construct the Aswan High Dam. This marked the beginning of the cooperation between Egypt and Russia at that time, okay? Because the Eisenhower, as well as the Eisenhower Doctrine, which wanted to say that Egypt's economic capabilities will not be able to repay the loan that Egypt is asking or demanding for to construct the dam. Certainly, such an embarrassment to Egypt has made Nasser to turn to Russia, and at that time, Russia was willing to grant Egypt this loan in order to come to the region. Whenever a superpower wants to come to the region, the key is in Cairo, not anywhere else. Okay. And besides, the Russians did not just, contribute to the building of the Aswan High Dam alone. No, we had the construction of the iron and steel complex of Halwan, the Alexandria shipyard, the Nag Hammadi complex, just to name a few. In total, we have 37 companies, whether it be in heavy industry or intermediate industry, have been established with the help of the Russians. Certainly our army, all its armament at that time, till 1973, were all, of course, Russian. It is said that Putin is coming with, of course, to help combating terrorism through the satellites, which they have launched in our favor back in the summer, and certainly the Syrian crisis. Okay, so as well as definitely offering Egypt what a new rocket to combat the Patriot rocket of the United States. In other words, Egypt is saying to the West, I have an alternative. And in fact, Egypt has more than one alternative, not just, of course, Russia. We shall not limit ourselves to one country that can tell me you're going to eat today or not. Okay? We are now moving towards all the nations of the world. We are
which is very crucial during this time of passing through.
And especially that some countries, as you know, and the President also mentioned them, but in not directly, they are somehow dictating to us what to do. We have gone over that. Egypt has a free will as a nation. Egypt has the right to self-determination, what it wants, and what could benefit the nation, and we are moving towards that. We have available China, we have available Korea, we have available India, Pakistan, we have, of course, many other nations to take from, and not limiting yourself to one nation is the best solution for any country, so that you maintain your will, you maintain what to say and what to do. You cannot do that for as long as you are bound to one nation.
Of course, we have to keep and maintain our relations with all countries around the world.
Exactly. Why not maintaining all our, all good relations with everybody? And whoever is willing to give us our freedom as well, to decide what sort of policies we have to obtain, whether it be internally or externally review. You remember what the U.S. was doing at the time of Mubarak, and it was even much worse, of course, in this horrible year of the Brotherhood.
2012.
Yes.
Right, and from Al-Masri اليوم we read from its front page, the army destroys a communication center for Beit al-Maqdis in Sinai. The death of 7 Takfiri elements and the discovery of a weapons depot in Sheikh Zayed. The unified command for the east of the Canal region, led by Osama Askar, discovers and destroys the biggest communication center belonging to the terrorist group south of Rafah. And still with the same issue, and from اليوم السابع, we read the army destroys an international communication center for Ansar Beit al-Maqdis in Sinai, destroying 90 terrorist hideouts in North Sinai and killing 60 terrorist elements. How do you see the situation, the current situation in Sinai, especially after the unified command that was recently appointed of Osama?
It was a very wise decision, to be honest, because as we explained last week, the peripheries of the two armies were not somehow united, and this unified command would combat this. Remember that this exactly happened with the Gavras War back in 1973. So we